I'm your host Kyle Huckins, and welcome to another edition of Huckins on Film. And today we're talking about David Cronenberg's latest, Cosmopolis. I watched this last night, and I'd actually been pretty psyched for it. I did see a review of it when I watched the Blu-ray of Iron Sky. There was a trailer in it, and a trailer for Cosmopolis was in it, and it looked really good. It looked like an interesting tale of corporate intrigue and attempted murder. And then I saw the words David Cronenberg. Oh, okay. Those of you who don't know, David Cronenberg is my all-time favorite director. So, I will see anything that he makes. I'm rethinking that sentence now because this movie is unwatchable. This was incredibly bad. This is actually the second review I'm shooting of it, because thinking about it, there was awful stuff that I missed in the first review that I need to get into this one. Okay, the idea of the corporate intrigue and attempted murder, that's not what this movie's about. And this trailer was incredibly misleading. Which, misleading trailers do annoy me. They annoy me a lot less when the movie ends up being good. Like Drive and Seven Psychopaths. The trailers for those, incredibly misleading. But I ended up enjoying those movies a lot. So, I dealt with it. When the trailer's misleading and the movie's bad, it just annoys me more. And, oh, God. I'm not even that sure where to begin tearing apart this movie. Also, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers, which is weird because you shouldn't really have trouble avoiding spoilers in a movie in which nothing happens. Yeah, you heard me. Almost nothing happens in this movie. Whole thing starts with Robert Pattinson's character Eric Packer wanting to get a haircut. So they want to go across town, but the president's in New York City, and it's fouling everything up. And really from this opening scene you knew it was going to be bad, because him and his chief of security Torval, played by Kevin Durand, for some reason the two of them are having a Christopher Walken competition. And Torval wins it. But for some reason, both of them are doing a Christopher Walken impersonation. I'll grant you, that's a lot more than watching Pattinson mumble his way through Breaking Dawn 2. Yes, I broke down and saw it. I saw a review talking about how funny it was. And it was right, that movie was hilarious. It's bad, but God, at least it's funny. Not on purpose, but it's funny as hell. This is a gigantic limo. And it's one of the main sets in the movie. A good chunk of the film takes place inside it. It's got enough room that he can stand up. Because at one point you get to watch him take a piss in the little toilet that protracts from under the seat. Yeah, Yeah, if you want to see Robert Pattinson take a leak, this is the movie for you. It's also one of the few things that actually happens in the movie. Now, Pattinson's acting isn't really a problem here, other than the fact that he is doing a bad Christopher Walken impersonation. Just, I know what accent he's going for, but it sounds like a bad impression of Jay Moore doing his impression of Christopher Walken. In fact, the scenes between him and his security chief are kind of funny because they remind me of the Walken family reunion sketch from Saturday Night Live. But that's neither here nor there. The script is the main culprit against this movie. Now, it's based on the book Cosmopolis. I've never read the book, so I can't compare it to the source material. I hope this book is a bad retelling of the story. This movie is a bad retelling of the book, because otherwise this book is painful. The dialogue in this movie is so stilted that it becomes painful. There are lines that are spoken in this movie that they came out of the speaker and I just, as though I had stopped a right cross with my jaw. In this regard, most of the really bad dialogue happens between him and Sarah Gadon, who plays his soon-to-be ex-wife, Elise Schifrin. And they do nothing but talk about sex. Badly. I mean, if you've never seen it, I forget where you can find it online, but there's always those competitions for worst erotic fiction of the year. I swear one of the winners of it helped with the screenplay for this. Because hearing these two talk about sex fucking hurts. It's so bad. I mean, this wouldn't come off any more forced if you could see both of the actors with shotguns to their temples and a guy yelling, "Say this or die." It's cringe-inducing. It's almost sphincter collapsingly bad. I seriously tried to implode up my own anus during a few of these scenes. It was just... And the way it's shot, I really don't get how it's shot, because there are no transitions in this movie. Just 1 minute you're in one setting, next minute you're in another, with completely different people. It's... okay. How did we get from A to B? Who is this person? Why are they there? Just basic storytelling elements are missing. It feels like everything was written on the page, but they didn't film it. And that's another big problem with this movie, is it's incredibly pretentious. And you can tell there's a ton of subtext here, but there's no text to work off of to find that subtext. It's one of those, I'm sure it's there. There's a commentary track on here. I'm going to watch it, because I can listen to Cronenberg talk about his films all day. His last one, A Dangerous Method, I did not like it at all. Commentary track was incredibly interesting, though. I'm sure this one will be too. Maybe a lot more of the movie will make sense after I watch this. But for a movie to completely work, you shouldn't need reference material outside of the film. The film should be able to tell its own story. And this, oh, no, it completely just fails miserably. Oh, hang on, I went blank for a minute. My brain keeps shutting off in an attempt to defend itself against this thing. Oh, that's right. I have yet to discuss... Well, one thing we do know about the character of Eric Packer is he's paranoid, if not a hypochondriac. He sees a doctor every day. At one point, he is talking to one of his advisors in the limo while getting a prostate exam. Yeah, you heard that right. I mean, you don't actually see anything going on, it's all implied. Thank God. But it's, yeah, he's trying to figure out the future of his business while getting a prostate exam. Because why the hell not? There seems to be an element of why not in this movie. And it's incredibly aggravating. And there's... On the bright side, there was a scene between him and Samantha Morton, who plays Vijay Kinski, who's one of his top advisors. And it's the two of them discussing the nature of capitalism. And it sounds like something Ayn Rand wrote while on an all-time mescaline bender. Like, seriously, it's almost art. It's so completely batshit and dumb. I mean, seriously, it's... I would almost recommend watching this movie for this scene. It's that bad. Because I know this movie is supposed to be a critique of capitalism, but somehow it manages to be completely obtuse while utterly ham-fisted. That it doesn't resonate at all. And there's a subplot about, for lack of a better reference, it'd be comparable to the Occupy protests. There are people who throw rats, and one guy hits him with a pot. I mean, there's a subplot about this. It goes nowhere. Seriously, it doesn't need to be in this movie. This movie's almost 2 hours long. It feels a lot longer. Seriously, I was clean shaven before I watched it. 2 hours later, here we are. This movie aged me. It was that ponderous. It moves like a sloth that had its knees blown off with a shotgun. Getting back to my other problems with the lack of scene transitions. Kind of late in the movie, he finally arrives at the barber shop. But there's no time frame in this movie. Seriously. Attack of the Eye creatures had better continuity. Because it's supposed to feel like he got there later that day. But there are scenes at night, scenes during the day. Is this the same day? Is this a week? What is the time frame? And that's the amazing thing about this, is a man as meticulous as Cronenberg apparently looked at all the rules of filmmaking and just said, I can't tell if this is supposed to be a parody of Atlas Shrugged or a love letter to Tommy Wiseau. Yeah, seriously, it's that bad. Unfortunately, it's well shot and competently acted, so it's not funny like The Room, but the story itself feels like it has that level of care to it. Like I said, there may be a lot of subtext in here I'm not getting, but there's no text for me to pivot off of to get to the subtext. So, what you have here is just an incredibly talky, pretentious 2-hour Drek fest that's tragically unwatchable. And further, it's really not making me feel good because I didn't care for this, and I didn't care for A Dangerous Method, and if David Cronenberg's going south on me, oh boy, I'm gonna need a drink. Or 12. Yeah, I'm gonna be hanging out with my friend John Walker, because I need good Cronenberg, and I'm not getting it this decade. And again, I'm hoping those were 2 missteps in an otherwise brilliant career. But I kind of feel like he's just losing it. Honestly, his last 2, they didn't even feel like Cronenberg movies to me. You know, they didn't really leave me with any lingering questions. They didn't leave me trying to analyze the hell out of it, trying to get at every nook and cranny. They just kind of left me going, well, that's over. Well, that was my reaction to A Dangerous Method. This is, oh, thank God it's finally over. And I wasn't sure that it was over because I know it's going to be weird saying this about a movie that has no beginning and no middle. It doesn't have an ending. Serious, like you're getting near the end, there's about to be some kind of closure, and just slams in the credits. So you'll get no satisfaction out of this at all. No, that's almost the only Cronenberg touch, is that it leaves you debating, did he or didn't he? Unfortunately, it's such a ponderous slog to get there, you don't care. Also, I just realized I did forget to mention the 3rd act, which is actually fairly watchable, in which Pattinson is talking to his would-be assassin, Ben 11, played by Paul Giamatti. And this part of the movie is actually pretty good. Again, there are things that happen in it that make no sense. Oh, it could be that I missed it because I was struggling to pay attention to this movie because it was almost unwatchable. And at one point, Pattinson shoots himself through the hand. I have no idea why. I don't care. But just, did they talk about why he would do that? Probably, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, because what little that happens in this movie has no reason behind it. And even during this scene, part of it is ruined by Pattinson bringing up his prostate. When he gets the prostate exam, he finds out he has an asymmetrical prostate. This comes up during this tense confrontation between these two individuals, one of whom wants to kill the other. And all of a sudden, he just randomly drops in, "My prostate is asymmetrical." Anytime you get to anything with any sort of gravity to it, something like that comes out and just wrecks the scene. I mean, I haven't checked. Hang on, let me check. I have to know who is responsible for this. Yeah, I'm not annoyed. Yeah, Cronenberg wrote the screenplay. And apparently completely forgot how to write. Because this is just terrible. Anyway, I'm beating a dead horse, so this is Kyle Huckins for Huckins on Film. Fucking off. Oh, I'm gonna go watch Videodrome now.